Call this meeting to order for May 18th, 2021. It is 6:02 p.m. And if you will join me for the pledge, if I can get out of this chair. God dang it. Sorry about that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If we can get an adoption of this agenda.
I move to adopt the agenda for May 18th, 2021.
Can we get a second to that adoption?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. And informational items, recognitions and proclamations. Does anybody on the board have any recognitions or proclamations tonight? Dr. Remendini?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Malio. I want to offer our sincere congratulations to all students who are completing this school year. I especially want to recognize our high school graduates as they embark on their next phase in life. As you know, graduation is next Thursday evening. And I also want to honor our 8th graders as they prepare to transition to Wickenburg High School, and we wish them all very well. Thank you to our entire Wickenburg Unified School District staff for a successful year. We appreciate their dedication to our students and hope that everyone has some time to rest and relax over the summer. And one final congratulations to Wickenburg High School baseball coach Gary Hodgkiss, who just was informed that he was selected to coach the Arizona Interscholastic Athletics baseball all-star team for the 1A through A1, A3 group of teams. So,
How awesome is that?
Lovely.
Great.
Yay, Gary.
You good? Mm-hmm. All right. All right, next item on the agenda is our call to the public. Is there anybody in the public that wishes to speak tonight? All right. Next is our consent agenda. Does any board member need anything pulled from the consent agenda before we take action? Okay, and we can get a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items for May 18th, 2021 as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. All right, action item number 5A would be the request for approval of financial reports presented by Ms. Erin Johnson.
Good evening. Thank you. I feel like a broken record lately with my reports. Still trending very well under our projection. A lot of that just has to do with our, partially our closure at the beginning of the school year, as well as some of the additional funding that we've received due to the COVID pandemic. But we're trending well. I don't expect us to have any surprises. We're in compliance, and our budget balances are positive, as you can see.
Good news. Anybody have any questions for Erin? Well, then we can get this one cleared off our agenda if we get a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the financial report as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you.
Action item 5B, possible action to approve settlement agreement and release with David Hodges. And did you want to speak, Dr. Remedy?
I believe that, thank you, Mr. Malio. I believe that the governing board has had an opportunity to review this and ask questions. Certainly will entertain any other questions, but this is a settlement agreement that we've been working on with the former employee for almost 2 years now. So.
Okay. Get a motion on that?
Yes, I'll make the motion to approve the settlement agreement and release between the district and David Hodges, and authorize the superintendent to sign the agreement on behalf of the district.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Last action item is item C. It's our ASBA 2022 legislative political agenda and our 2021 delegate. And what I did this time, because we need to come up with our laundry list for the delegate assembly. And so what I'd like to do this time, because there's items on here that sometimes, frankly, I didn't pay enough attention to, and I don't know if the other board members have, but I've asked Dr. Remendini and our Director of Business Services to look at this and give us some ideas of what might be appropriate for our district.
I apologize. We thought they were on the table.
Oh.
Ms. Johnson, would you like to go first?
Sure. Dr. Amandini and I did have some discussions about some of these agenda items, and there's quite a few in here, as you well know, to choose from. All of them are great platforms to stand on, but I understand that we're looking to possibly look at 5, but a max of 7 to take, so it was a little bit difficult to narrow some of them down, but a few of them that I feel are important are, the first one would be provide a stable, dedicated revenue source, less reliant on the general fund or annual legislative appropriation. So I feel that this would allow for some more stability when setting our budget. We wouldn't be so reliant on waiting for the legislature as we are now. So like I cannot start my budget right now for next year until we have that. So it just would create some stability there, allow us to plan, and then anything that would come out of the legislature would be added. And then we wouldn't be taking away from the education budget in order to balance theirs. So if we could just have a stable revenue source that we could rely on year to year, I think that would be a huge benefit to school districts. The next one would be fully fund full-day kindergarten. I feel that this is very important for a number of reasons. Number one, kindergartners only generate a 0.5 ADM for us versus a 1.0 for grades 1st through 12th. So we're providing for these students all day. We're providing staff for them, curriculum, specials, all of those things, but we're only getting funded at half of what we would love to get funded for if they were a 1.0. I also feel that full-day kindergarten is very important. I'm sure Dr. Remendini would echo me on this, that there's many studies that indicate all-day kindergarten improves achievement, increased reading and early grades. There'd be less retention, for fewer grade retention, so kids not being held back, as well as there's a lot of social benefits to children going to kindergarten and going all day. So I think that we could definitely bridge some gaps that we have if we could have fully funded kindergarten.
And for those who don't know, Erin, we as a district pay for that 1.0 FTE.
Correct.
And we've done that for how many years now?
Oh goodness, I don't
A
even
long
know.
time.
Quite some time now.
But most
20,
school
probably
districts
15.
don't offer that unless families can pay, right? Is that how it works?
Well, I think I don't know any of the schools that do that. I don't know about you, Dr. Remendini. I think that it is an option in some districts that they probably do, but
And some districts just do half-day kindergarten because it's not
yes,
funded.
correct.
Okay.
Correct.
It was a very common practice around 2010, in that area when kindergartners have never generated 1.0, and schools started looking at cuts and where they could cut it, and there was a lot that went back to half-day kindergarten with the option for parents to pay for the other portion of it. But again, I believe that kindergartners, it's time for them to be at school, and there is a lot of benefits for that, and so it would be nice if we got funded for them. And the other part of that is that they're not counted in our override numbers. So when
Correct.
we are counting and looking at override, which is one of our other suggestions here. So does that help answer? I think most districts absorb the cost of all-day kindergarten. I think
Right.
that's probably
Right. But that, like you said, that is part of the reason. It's kind of it's interesting because they're not counted towards the override calculation, which is a formula based on prior year ADM. They're not counted in that, yet we need to go out for that override to help offset a portion of the cost in order to have those kids all day. So that would be a great platform.
It makes
too.
sense as so many school districts are already paying so that they have full day,
Right.
that the government would do that. Yeah.
Yes. The next one that I have is provide funding for new space before existing schools exceed their maximum capacity and become overcrowded. There's much more here in that paragraph, as you guys can see. Again, just would help with planning. Why wait until you're at that point to then be granted the funding to move forward, to expand if needed. It's kind of like we don't wait for our bank account to get to zero before we do something about it. So let's not wait till we're overcrowded. The other part of that too would allow us to plan. We do plan for growth here in Buckeye, and our capacity in Wickenburg impacts when and if we can build down here. So we want to make sure that we are getting ahead of that and can build down here and serve the students here. And I think that this would allow for that planning to happen and that funding to happen. The next that I have is adequately fund programs under exceptional student services. Currently, we have to apply for grants to cover these costs, and I don't think that that is right. Dr. Remendini gave a great example earlier of, hospitals, they don't have to apply for grants to serve their patients. They, have the funding to serve their patients, so to speak. So I want to be able to serve our students and meet the needs that they have without having to apply for grants and cross our fingers that we get them in order to provide these services. We do get a little bit of additional funding for this. They're called Group B students, but it's pennies on the dollar. And so it would be great to have adequate funding so that we don't have to go out for grants and we can provide the services and meet the needs of these children. And I think that was it on my list, and Dr. Remendini has a few more.
And I have a list as well. And what I passed out to you was the most recent legislative priorities that the governing board has kind of set. So certainly you have the opportunity to add to this, take a different set of priorities to the delegation in September. And I'm assuming everybody has the documents, but we'll share in writing our recommendations as well. The couple of things that I had to request that the governing board look at was under the preserve and strengthen local control, and it's the bullet that says change the override budget increase language to better reflect what voters are being asked to support. In Arizona, override and budget increase sounds like we've spent more money than we've got, and we haven't. It's the local tax base that we're requesting, and so the wording causes us to defend why we need additional taxpayer money. And you all will require, we will be looking at possibly calling for an override in the near future to support all-day kindergarten specials, lower class size, those kinds of things. So it would be nice if we had language at the legislative level that would help more accurately define what that is. We'd also like some consideration at the legislative level to increase the compulsory attendance age from 16 to 18. In Arizona, students still can drop out of school at 16, and if we believe they should begin learning at 5, we probably don't want them to leave until they graduate. There is a pathway for students who are accelerated to graduate early, but until they have a diploma, we would like them to stay until they're 18. And there's also another law in there that students in Arizona can actually drop out of school at 14 if they're working in a family business. So that's kind of a little bit not what our vision says, that every child is a graduate. So that one's of importance. And then the last one on my list was to repeal any program that gives public funds for private school vouchers and private school subsidies, and prevent any future expansion. Just because we're a public school district and we would like taxpayers' dollars to support the work of public schools to serve all students in the state.
Definitely.
So I'm happy to provide those to the governing board in writing as you're making your list of what would be our priorities, or answer any questions or provide additional support.
Okay, did you guys already come up with some bullet points that you had in mind, other than what we already had from prior?
I had one that I don't know that it affects us so much, maybe not yet, but it's the one on, let me go to reading it. It's under the funding, but basically it's fund the per student day rather than just at the 100-day point, so that if you get the students the last 60 days of the school year, we're getting funding for that student, and it's not going to the school that they left. So, or all of it's going to the school that they left. So you get paid per day, and it's shoot.
I saw that here.
But that was one that I had.
Yeah, that one ensures that we're funded. Student funding is based on attendance, not 100th day enrollment.
Right.
Yeah,
Saw that.
that's an important one.
Yes.
I'm sorry I
trying to
can't
find
find
it.
that bullet right now, but I will.
I'm looking for it too.
It was.
It's the second bullet,
Second bullet
on
on
the
the second
second
page.
page.
Got it.
It says prorate
Prorate.
funding over the entire school year among all public schools that a student has attended during the year. What?
I think I'd have to confirm a little bit more with Jeremy Corliss, Director of IT. He really looks at a lot of the ADM, but I'm just trying to understand. I guess I'd have to dig into this one a little bit deeper. I do think that it's important, but from my knowledge base, it's an average daily membership based upon the number of days that they've attended. So we
the
do
full
get
year?
a portion. Well, I guess what you're looking at is after the 100th day, more
Right.
so, right?
So, and
Yeah.
like I said, I don't know, it doesn't affect
Yeah, I
us
can see that.
here so much, but I know there's schools that after the 100th day,
Right.
a lot of charter school students are kicked into the public school,
Right.
and
No,
then they're
you
not
are
getting
right.
any money for that.
Now that I'm talking it out loud, you are correct.
Yeah.
So based on the first 100 days, we're looking at the average daily membership. So we do get a portion as well as the school that they came from. But then after that 100th day, yeah, exactly, we're not getting the
Right.
funding that we should be getting because everything's based mostly on first 100 days of school. Yep. No, that'd be a good one. Because we have we're 151.
151 days of school.
So that we're
Yeah,
missing out on
51
51 days. Potentially.
So, a third of the year, roughly.
Susan, had you picked anything out other than what we've?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I agree with some of the ones that we talked about today. Definitely the fully fund kindergarten, I agree with 100%. And the exceptional student services programming funding, I agree with that. And I think if it would benefit our school district, the prorate funding, I think we'd want to see kind of how would that affect us, where are our numbers higher or lower, if it's something we want to actually push for. And then absolutely with the attendance age from 16 to 18, I agree with that as well. Those would be some of the top ones that I had already kind of highlighted for myself.
Okay. Yes.
I just want to circle back to the prorated. I think that if there's consensus, then I would obviously fully support if that was one of the topics that we wanted to pursue. One thing I want to make mention of is, Susan, you struck a chord when you said, how would that impact us, how many kids come? Now that our 100th day has moved to mid-February from January, I think a lot of times when you're going to have kids come, they come right after Christmas break. So they're coming right before, the 100th day. So I would say, we could do some research on it if you guys want to see on average how many kids do we have transfer in after our 100th day, just to see how much it would impact us. Now, if we were ever to go back to a 5-day week, gulp, then that would change back a little bit, and then it may have a little bit more of an impact, just because our time would be back closer, in the mid-January. But I think a lot of our kids do transfer in right around that Christmas break time. Would you agree, Dr. Remendini, on average?
Yeah, I think so. I think the consideration for this particular item for ASBA to have as their legislative platform is to prevent the movement among students that prohibits them from following the money. And we may be in a unique situation where at this point in time, students come in at the semester break, and we don't see, at this point in time, a large influx of students after the 100th day, but that could change as the district grows in this part of the area. So it's something that we probably feel best as educators, and to be financially responsible and thinking forward probably doesn't have as big of impact on us at this point in time as it could in the future. So yeah.
So Aaron, how does how are we funded after the 100th day if they come? Nothing. Yeah, that's what I thought. So that's something definitely to do some research on. But anyway, Sandy, do you have?
Well, in fact, I was discussing this. The established financial and academic transparency for all institutions and individuals that accept public funds. I just find it ironic that we are under such a microscope when it comes to funding and what we do with our money. But charter schools, who also are getting public funding, aren't under that same microscope, and I don't think that's fair.
No. That's why I just like the one that Dr. Remendini pulled out of this list, repeal that money going there. And we don't have to worry about the transparency.
It's two different ones. Yeah, you can, but that, even if they don't repeal it, I feel like they should be responsible for following.
Oh, absolutely.
And the same rules that we have to follow. I mean, public money is public money.
Yep.
So anyway, I'm quite adamant about that one. And the vouchers. Okay.
Randy?
I have no additional.
Okay. All right, so we need to. Do we need our list today? Wait, no, we don't. Well,
It's
pretty close.
It's June,
21st.
isn't it?
21st, yeah.
Oh.
May
okay,
21st.
Proposed items is due the 21st, okay.
So it's this Friday.
Yeah. So I guess we need to grab off of that list.
I wrote down all the ones that we talked about and then starred the ones that I agreed with, and I added his there as well, if you want me to.
Are we're limited to 5, is that correct?
I
Well,
was
7 total.
I think you can do, I think I was going to try to read the rules again. I think you come up with 5, but then you can have 2 of your own.
Right.
You send your top 5, and then you can add additional priorities. And I read that to be additional local priorities.
Okay,
That's how I read that,
So
but
not
I'm not
7 off
sure
the
they're
bat.
gonna
okay.
kick us out if, I kick you out, Ron, if you have 7.
I had to find that note again.
Let's see.
And I would just say, I
Top 5
appreciate that
priorities.
Arizona School Boards Association has a process where local boards can give input about what they're going to advocate for in the upcoming legislative session. It's confusing because we start this process before the current legislative session is finished, but they're sometimes a little slower, so this would be moving forward.
Right.
And then I think when I went before, then anything that was approved in the prior year, they just remove, they tell you about it at the beginning of session.
If there was legislation on it. Yep.
It's hard to hear down here.
Yeah. I don't know if, I think we can still take 7 off that list because the way that's worded. So, how do you want to vote for them? So we have 6, 10, we have 11.
Well, but the first 4 are major headings on
Yeah.
that. If you look at the legislative agenda, those 4 that Dr. Imedini printed out are the major headings. And then you have all these specific items underneath.
Hold
those.
off of there. Yeah, I see that.
So those 4 are not really
Right,
items.
8,
Right.
as such.
including the one that we added for you. There's 8.
right.
So if we took off 1,
What was,
right? 1, 2,
you talking about the 100-day thing, Susan?
the prorate funding over the entire school year. Yeah. Yeah. So just depending on that.
Well, I had 2, 4, 6. I had 6, but I couldn't hear what Sandy said.
So Aaron and I together presented 7 recommendations, and then Ron, you added 1 regarding the 100th day.
Right.
And then Sandy had a consideration, but I may have misunderstood, but I think it was advocating for the repeal the program that provides public funds.
Yeah.
Is that, or was there one that?
I was concerned.
Oh, it was the one above it, establish
The
financial and academic
transparency
transparency
for all institutions and individuals.
Okay.
Not just the public schools, but the
7,
charter
8,
schools
family
as
week.
well.
I see. Uh-huh.
Because
So
it's-
it's the bullet above that. So
Yes.
that would be a total of 9 that were brought forth, if I counted correctly.
Okay, let's send our 9 in and let them throw off the 2 that they don't want to see on there. They're all important. I don't know. I mean,
Well, the form shows 5 and then additional 2 items if we wanted, so.
So Ron's going to have to create a new form to add 2 more.
I couldn't hear you.
you're going to have to create a new form to add 2 more.
Oh.
I like the ones that they picked out. I mean, coming out of the business office and the superintendent's office, I really think that they're really in tune to it. I just want to see the money. We need the money to operate this thing. So the way they picked out the headings that they, or the pieces that they did out of the headings, I think that these are going to be very important to us.
Well, I mean, if we need to get down, since right now we don't have a big issue that I know of receiving students after the 100-day, I mean, I'm sure we get a few, but nothing, not a big influx. I think that's one that affects, I know, a lot of schools that are close to charter schools. And we don't have that right now. I mean, maybe, I know there's some children in this neighborhood that go to charter schools, but I haven't seen that any, got a big bunch that have, you know, been told, sorry, you know, you're just not gonna make it, and they come here.
So you're saying take that one off?
So we can take that one off for now, but, just looking forward, I don't think we're gonna be safe forever.
So can I read through the ones I have and see if we're missing something? If any-
Yes.
Okay.
I was just going to make one comment too.
Okay, go ahead.
The one about the capacity, I do think that one's important. Has that one been on there every year? Has
It's
it?
been on this list.
Every
for-
year?
yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we gotta keep pushing for that one, so
Yep.
it's not,
Yep.
okay, just curious on that.
Which one?
I
which
might
one's
add one
capacity?
real quick comment on the compulsory attendance age, although I believe that very strongly that Arizona needs to move in that direction. I'm not sure that it's going to make the big ASBA list or it's going to be on any legislator's agenda, no matter how much we pound the pavement for it. So it might be something that we trade out for something that's more important to get our funding formula right. So that might be a consideration. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, I don't know that,
Which one's the capacity one?
Which one's what?
I just asked Erin a question. She's looking up one
Oh.
for me.
It's under adequately and equitably fund district schools to at least the national medium per pupil funding, and it's the 1, 2, 3, 4,
Just,
5,
just a note,
6.
the list
I think
that
it's the 8th bullet. It's 2
on
down
for
from
this
full
year
day kindergarten.
What is this?
is the same
oh,
list
index?
that was on for
No.
last year,
It was on the
Right.
year that I went.
and it
Funding
was
for
here
new
the year
space, that
before.
one.
Yes.
So these individual
I
items are
noticed
still
that.
things that they're pushing,
Right.
and the legislature just
That's the
hasn't
one I was missing.
done it yet.
No, I'm telling you, much of this list is very similar to the one I went
Let me
to.
go see.
Yeah.
And the legislative session, or delegate session that I went to was in the year 2000 and
Oh, it is
12.
there. It's
Yeah.
just-
I know there's a couple differences, because I know there were some specific ones that were added the first year that I went,
right?
that got added in there, but,
many of them,
yeah. So this is important, I think, to add our part to it, but, don't look for any action.
All right, Susan, you want to go over them?
Yeah, so this is what I have in my list. Provide a stable, dedicated revenue source, less reliant on the general fund or annual legislative appropriation.
Can you go a little bit louder?
Provide a stable, dedicated revenue source, less reliant on the general fund or annual legislative appropriation. I think we all agree on that one. Then I have establish financial and academic transparency for all institutions and individuals that accept public funds.
Yes.
The fully fund full-day kindergarten and include kindergarten students in the override calculations. Then I have provide funding for new space before existing schools exceed their maximum capacity, and then there's a big long sentence after that. Adequately fund programs under exceptional student services. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then change override budget, increase language to better reflect what voters are being asked to support would be 6. And then if we moved compulsory attendance down to 8, we would have repeal any program that gives public funds for private schools vouchers and private school subsidies and prevent any future expansion.
Yeah, I agree with that switch.
Okay.
Did you guys hear those? Are you good with this list?
Pretty much. I mean, pretty much got them all down here.
Yeah. Okay.
And I remember talking about it when I was at legislative session for the change the age from 16 to 18. There was like one group that was really pushing for it, and then I don't remember. I'm pretty sure it dropped out.
All right,
I
so
think it's something that comes back though year after year. That one, kindergarten, comes back year after year. And then the last one, the repealing public funds for private schools, that comes back year after year.
every year.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, so we've got our list. And before we get into the motion, we need to get our delegate and our alternate delegate for the next legislative session, or delegate assembly, I should say. So who wants their turn?
Not now. Don't look at me.
It's on a Saturday and they feed you, Randy.
What's that?
It's on a Saturday and they feed you.
Oh, I know, I've been to one recently.
I can't.
Getting
I'll
ready.
drive you.
Who hasn't done it?
Sandy hasn't done it.
Great job.
Joe
And
hasn't
Sandy's shaking her head.
Well, I'll just say I've done it the last 2 years, and this year I may not be available even for a remote, so
Okay,
I would rather not
okay.
worry about it.
Susan, what do you
I
think?
did it the year before that.
I know, but that was 3 years ago. There's so much new to see. Except for the list. It's the same list. Randy, what year did you have? The one before Susan?
Yep.
The one just before Susan, yeah.
Okay, so now we're getting further away. And Sandy, which one did you have? I forgot.
I didn't. But I've got too much on my plate right now.
I hear ya.
can't deal.
You're retired now since then. That was your excuse before.
But now this is on Saturday, September 11th, just so you know.
A lot of things. Huh?
This is on Saturday, September 11th.
My great-granddaughter's birthday.
This lets out early.
I'm not. I can't take that on right now, thanks. I'm sorry.
Sounds like we're not going to have a delegate.
When did you go, Joe?
2012 and 2013. And it won't be 2021. Maybe 2022. I'll be fixed by then. We have no takers, Lynn. Send it in that way. We can still send our list. Well, I heard the crickets, so now we have a volunteer. Thank you, Susan. And I know we're not going to get a alternate, so we'll go with one name. So now if we can get a motion to reflect that change.
Did you have to go?
So we're getting a motion for the whole
Yeah.
package?
Yep.
Okay, well, okay, so we have the 7 items. Is that what we're going with, that
Yes.
Susan read?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to approve the suggested items for the 2022 ASBA political agenda and approve Susan as a delegate to attend the 2021 delegate assembly as submitted.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? That motion carries. Oh my goodness. Now, we are still on this page. Oh, items for future agenda. We still have that work in progress. And our announcements in our calendar, we have that. And we can move on to item 7, which would be the closing of the meeting.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned at 6:41.